why is America such a mess right now? If you look at it, we're heavily in debt, where our educational system is a joke in the world. We're following our industry. A lot of people losing their jobs, their good paying jobs are disappearing. And, I mean, a lot of people are going on welfare, a lot of people are in prison, a lot of people are ending up homeless. Someone commented about the movie Blade Runner. It's set in the year 2019. And in that film, it shows mass unemployment and a massive amount of people being homeless, living on the streets in a rundown Los Angeles. And in 1982, when that film came out, it was just considered ridiculous that things could be that bad in the year 2019. And people are saying that, now that we're getting close to 2019, very close, they're saying every year Los Angeles is looking more and more like Blade Runner. Now, there's no one factor for why this country, is sliding backwards. I think it's interesting because, like in the elections, the politicians keep coming out saying, we're going to make America great again, again. And things just keep seeming getting worse. Maybe if we tried to screw up this country, maybe we'd make it better by accident. But, there are some factors leading to these failures. One of the factors is the fact that we have a problem in this country of punishing success and rewarding failure. Now, if you look at Tucker, if you ever saw the movie Tucker, he was a man who wanted to build a better car. And he went up against the big three auto dealers, and they decided to bury him in litigation. And they had the legal system come after him, and they shut down his car company before it could get rolling. And they claimed because it would be too expensive to retool to compete against them. Okay, they shut Tucker down, but the Japanese, the Germans, other countries, they're not under our control, so they could build a better car and compete against us, and they did. So we had places like Flint, Michigan shut down. Their car manufacturing was shut down, and the places. If you saw Michael Moore films, the place is practically a ghost town, and that's one of the problems of this country. And then that's not the only example. You look at a man like Dalton Trumbull, who was blacklisted writer. He was one of the best writers in the country. He was blacklisted because basically he was considered to be too far left-leaning in his viewpoints. It's like the Woody Allen line from the movie Bananas, where Miss America is on the stand and she's saying differences of opinion should be tolerated, but not if they're too different. Then they become a subversive mother. Okay, so that's another reason. This country's being run into the ground. If you look at some of the older models of how societies were run, they were really quite brutal, but they were also effective. you know, I mean, as brutal as Saddam Hussein's regime is, and a lot of these Arab countries are, you don't have the problem of drug addicts and drive-by shooters all over the country. They're going to do whatever they have to crack down on this. They have to crucify people, so be it. They will do what they need to do to take care of problems like these. If you ever saw the movie Dazed and Confused, as I was watching this film, I was like, my God, no wonder this country's being run right into the ground. The adults who are seeing what's going on here are just turning a blind eye for the most part, or they're doing very little that's effective to deal with, like, the drug problems that keeps increasing, and also violence against, violence against citizens, basically taking the law into their own hands. In the film, these teenagers the freshmen would get paddled by the seniors when they were freshmen, and that became a tradition in the school. So every year the seniors would take out their revenge on the next generation, and it just became a vicious cycle like this. And no one seemed to be wanting or willing to do anything to stop it. You know, even the freshmen who were the victims of this didn't seem to have any coherent plan to dealing with this. You know, so I mean, you know, it's interesting. I'm reminded of A Clockwork Orange, where Malcolm McDowell is talking with this British bureaucrat. He's talking about the problem, you know, of our society, why it's falling apart. You know, he says we've been studying the problem and we don't seem to be coming up with any answers. I think part of the problem with that is that we're not really looking to areas that are taboo of our institutions and our leaders of the choices they're making. You know, we're basically dealing with a corrupt and inept leadership. It's like when I was in the Army, you know, I had risked my life for my country and for the Army, and whenever I did, I was told I did my duty, nothing more. Now, fuck off to whatever hole you came from. You know, they would not reward people who were not part of their club, basically. You know, my grandfather experienced the same thing in World War I, where was a trench raider, he killed 29 German soldiers with a trench knife and a trench club. These are confirmed kills, as opposed to unaffirmed kills where, you know, he's shooting at people coming at him and he's not sure if he hit them or not, and no one else is either, you know, but he had 29 confirmed kills, and they said, you did your duty, nothing more, now get lost. And he basically went home, finished up his enlistment, and didn't re-enlist. You know, he was not happy, to say the least, with his experience there. So, I mean, it seems to me that we need to, you know, get serious about things like education. We need to not, you know, blacklist and ban and ostracize the most talented people in our society just because, you know, we don't like them or they're different or they're not part of our club. You know, I mean, I saw so much of this corruption in the military, and, you know, and I've seen, you know, people basically having their rights repeatedly violated, and, you know, the system didn't really care, you know. And, I mean, you know, and I talked to an attorney about how my own rights had been violated, you know, in this country, and his advice to me was, he said, the best case scenario for me is that I complain to the system and nothing happens. He says, the worst case scenario for me is that I could find myself maybe framed up and sent to prison or even murdered, you know? Those were his words to me, and he advised me just to accept my rights have been violated and get on with my life and focus on making a living. And I said to him, that sounds like good advice to me, that's what I did, but at the same time, you know, that just shows how corrupt and rotten the system is, and that is a problem leading to our country's gradual downfall.